Um, I can, and there's bit of a thunderstorm, and I want to stream so that I can kind of broadcast it. I guess might be able to hear it. It's mainly to get over the anxiety of it. Oof. Bit of a thunderstorm, and I want to stream. I don't know what I'm gonna be doing. Just kind of sitting, talking. Because if you follow me on Twitter, then you know the I'm traumatized from the last thunderstorm that I had. So yeah, so yeah. If anyone's still here from the other stream, hi. This is gonna be a lot chiller than before. If anyone's still here from the other... Shut up, Dan. I might play a little short game, but I might not. Because it is storming and I don't know if I should be playing games, let alone streaming. But the stream grind has to go on, right? Alright, this is totally not dangerous. Totally not dangerous at all. Nah, 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 nah. It's fine, right? It's fine. It's fine. I am curious if anyone will ever hear the booms and the bangs. They're quite loud, actually. I'm kind of nervous. What a time to have that happen, right? I will show you that I think it's going to be okay, because I think it's like last night's where it was just in the air. That's why... I hope I'm right. And there's not much wind, so that tree in the front of the house shouldn't fall. I don't know if I showed it on stream, did I? That tree? Did I? 1 second. I don't think I did. I can't show too much of it because I don't want to leak the location. Save image. Studio mode. iMusic. So there's this tree, right? From my house. I'll cover myself. Fine. This bitch. You see the straps on it? The last storm that happened, it was like going like this in the wind, and that's my house. So yeah. This you can't see my mouse, but you can see like where it's like kind of bad. um, we're gonna get rid of that tree like ASAP, 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 ASAP. But yeah, that's why I'm nervous. My dad is too. So, like, rightfully so. Rightfully so. It's stressful. It's stressful. Because that could fall. Like, you can't see it because I have it cropped, but it's like, it's gonna fall on the front door. In the front door of the house. I haven't heard much thunder actually. I think it might have passed, but let me look at the forecast real quick. I think it's in the phase where it's like kind of starting to go over us. Might be wrong. But I'm not a fan of it. I don't like thunderstorms. I don't like them even more now. I am traumatized. Ooh, yeah. Now it's right on us. By 9:45, it's still going to be on us. 10:01, it's still going to be on us. But as the day goes on, by 11 it'll be gone. Pretty much, that's what's telling me. 10:27, 10:54, it'll be gone. So you might hear some thunderstorms in the background. Oops, I didn't mean to turn my phone off. Stupid. I'm kind of scared, to be honest. I'm just kind of masking it because that's why I'm streaming, so I can kind of ignore it. Hear that? Probably didn't. That was kind of quiet. I'm gonna get rid of this picture so I don't have to keep staring at it. I might turn off my filter just so that you can hear it. Like my noise gate filter. Might as well. Well, might not have it on for long. Turn my fan off too. I'm quite nervous, to be honest. Hopefully it's not too loud. Background noises, I mean. I guess right now I could analyze what I was thinking during the stream, but that might kind of be boring. Hmm. Hmm. That's just crazy because, like I said in the previous stream, I did not expect to beat that that quickly. Like genuinely, the first try of the stream. That's insane. Insane. Very bizarre. Do I have a thing set up to? No, I don't. Could watch some YouTube, I guess. The only reason I'm streaming, to be honest, is because to kind of document what the shit is going on with the storm. Just trying to find something entertaining to watch. Game theory. Is there any FNAF stuff that I'm missing? Yes.
The crying child's...
Scared me. But I'll be right back because I have to go to the bathroom. Hopefully just a second. You never know though. I shall keep this on mute in case any thunders happen. I have returned. Alive. Oh, I still have music on. Whoops. I guess it doesn't matter. Just gonna change the title slightly, just so people give people context. There we go. Thunderstorm stream. If the power does go out, you'll know when this, because the stream will end. Also, what do you guys think about the YouTube thumbnail? That's gonna be the new live stream thumbnail. Okay, let's get back into this.
The crying child's name has been found. That's right, we finally have an answer for a question that has stumped this community for a literal decade. And the craziest part of all of it, it was solved by a channel with only one video. Matt must be rolling in his retirement grave.
We'll just see about that.
Matt Pat!
Hello internet! Welcome to Game Theory, the show that's happy to let someone else solve FNAF for a change. Since the release of Security Breach, it feels like there's been a massive new wave of FNAF theorizing on YouTube. We've seen the rise of people like John FNAF, Rye Toast, ID's Fantasy, and dozens more, all joining us in the good fight to try and solve the infuriating lore of this franchise. And just over a month ago, a new challenger, or should I say challengers, entered the ring. The channel Dual Process Theory. And they went big for their first outing, making the claim that they'd solved the entirety
Turn
of
this down a
FNAF in
little
their
bit.
very first video. And not only were they laying down a timeline for the whole series, they also claimed to
Heard that? Maybe?
have solved a particular mystery that has been bugging us theorists for a long time. What is the name of the crying child? After nearly 10 years, we still just call him the crying child, despite the fact that every other character in this franchise seems to get a name. Mike, Elizabeth, Charlie, even the missing children got names. So why is this kid's name left blank? Well, according to dual process theory, it's not that he doesn't have a name, it's that we just missed it. We've had the name all along, we've just been giving it to someone else. They suggest that the crying child's name is Cassidy, the name we found all the way back in the wild search of the survival logbook. The same name that, for the longest time, we have given to the vengeful spirit from Ultimate Custom Nights, the one Afton should not have killed. Not only that, but they claim that the child we thought was Cassidy doesn't even exist. For years, we've assumed that there are 7 dead kids, 5 missing children's incident victims, including Cassidy, Charlotte, Emily the puppet, and the nameless crying child. But instead, they claim that there have only ever been 6, with the final missing kid and the bite victim being one in the same. Cassidy Afton. It's a bold claim, but
that is a bold claim. That's very bold.
So I went back to the drawing board and started mapping out the pieces myself to see if I could come to that same conclusion. Is the crying child actually Cassidy? Ladies and gentlemen, it's...
Hey Tom, what you doing?
Oh, hey Matt, I'm kind of in the middle of solving...
Matthew Pathu.
Yeah, okay. I'm sure you have a theory that changes everything. A clue that we missed?
Kinda, yeah.
Perfect. Well, before you fire up the old Golden Freddy thumbnail and then slap a dark truth on that, I've got another puzzle for you to solve. Lore-fi. It's the
Oh, yeah.
music-based mystery project that I've been working on. Basically, it's what you get if you have Lo-Fi Girl, but you mix in a murder mystery.
Because who hasn't ever wondered that?
The music is very good, by the
news is
way.
You don't have to wonder anymore because episode 1 is finally ready. On one level, you can just study and relax and sleep to the music that you're listening to. In fact, you've been listening to one of the tracks this whole time. And there's gonna be new music releasing every week on our Lore-Fi Spotify channel. But you know what? If you want to go a level
It's really
deeper,
good.
hidden within some of that music and the videos that exist here on YouTube, there are clues pointing at the story of a missing kid.
I suggest checking out Lore-Fi. I really suggest it. Really suggest it.
A missing kid named Gregory.
Gregory? Seriously, Matt?
yeah, hear me out. Yeah, I got nothing. I just wanted to meme on the name. Good news,
Gregory.
though, my Gregory, not a robot.
Yeah, sure. For now. I assume you put a link in
Sure.
the description on your way in.
I did indeed, sir. And people should definitely click on it because, like I said, there's going to be new secrets waiting to be discovered every week over on Spotify and a new animation dropping roughly once a month and a half here on YouTube. All as we help a new character, Taylor, solve the deadly game that she accidentally finds herself trapped in.
Do I really have to solve this? I kind of got my hands full with all the FNAF stuff coming down the pipeline. I was actually just about
Yes.
to do a Morty on dual process theory's theory.
Oh, I remember that one. Great video. But you do realize the M in Morty stands for Matt Pat, right? Matt Pat occasionally reviews theories, yo.
Huh. Didn't think about that. Say, Matt, I know you're kind of retired and everything, but seeing how dual process theory's video was a two-person effort and you're already here, how'd you like to tag team this FNAF theory?
I mean, it's a little cramped in the recording closet with the two of us, but sure, why not?
Awesome. And now I don't have to change the theme song. Hit it, Yossi.
Leave your theories in the comments below. I'll pick my favorites in the next episode of Morty.
Morty.
First things first, it's probably a good idea that we recap the main evidence points dual process theory has for the crying child being Cassidy. Their video is nearly 2 hours long after all. Who has that much time? Well, except for you, considering you took over 4 hours to react to it.
Look, I'm retired now. I've got nothing but time. But I think you're right. So let's quickly recap, starting with the first major point, how we got the name in the
Hey,
survival
Bella.
logbook. Now, this book has been a cornerstone of the FNAF franchise since its release. Inside, we have 3 separate people speaking to us. Michael Afton, who writes in red pen, a spirit that writes in faded text, and a third person that alters the text of the book. The faded text writes the words "my name" on a number of the pages.
Can I
And on
look
those
at the
pages,
force
there's
cast
always
again?
some sort of weird number. Take
I'm
all
listening,
those
don't worry.
numbers and turn them into coordinates for the word search, and bam, you get the name Cassidy.
It sounds so simple now, but I remember ripping my hair out over this at the same time you were.
But the key to the whole thing was one very important usage of my name. On one of the pages, the my name appears on a gravestone, just like the gravestone
Rip
descending
my
from
name.
FNAF 6's ending, which, it should be remembered, released around the same time as this book.
It's leaving us.
Pretty darn obvious that these clues were revealing the name of that final character, the fifth
It's going
missing
over
child, which
that
is why for the
way.
longest time we've been calling the fifth child Cassidy.
And this is where
It changed a
dual
little
process
bit.
theory throws their first spanner into the works.
You mean wrench?
Look, you chose a
10.
British guy to take over. This is what you get. While yes, my name appeared on every page.
Yeah, it's
including
mostly
Friday,
gone.
Notice what's on the opposite page.
It's
The word
on its
search
way
and
out.
Mirror, and under it,
The thunder,
spirit
I mean,
leaves a message.
Thunderstorm.
What do you see? Well, what's on the other page? The crying child using altered text in the word search. It's me, Cassidy. God, so good.
I hope some of the thunder
Especially
came on the
because, in
stream.
all honesty,
That'd be
the
cool.
placement of that mirror always felt suspicious to me. So I really like them using it for their theory. But if Crying Child is Cassidy, then who else is speaking in the book? You need a second spirit to act as the faded text.
Well, according to them, it's Charlie, Puppet, doing what she's been trying to do the entire series. Help the lost spirits find themselves.
And again, I gotta say, I really like that. Narratively, that's really satisfying because it brings together the 3 main characters from the franchise all in the same place. Mike with his red pen, Crying
Yep.
Child Cassidy as the altered text, and Charlie guiding the conversation as the ghostly faded text. It's cool and it feels complete, but is there actual evidence to support this, or is it all hypothesis? And that's not all. Dual process theory weren't just satisfied with Crying Child having Cassidy's name, they went further to suggest that the Crying Child is Cassidy, as in Cassidy is an Afton, and the 5th missing child
Oh.
of Gravestone, and the spirit within Golden Freddy, the only spirit inside of Golden Freddy, as opposed to most of our theories where the Crying Child is 1/2 of our best golden boy.
They also have the evidence to back it up. The first point is that Golden Freddy doesn't speak in plurals. When you take a look at the one line we ever get from Golden Freddy, what do we see?
It's me.
singular, implying that there's only one spirit in there. Compare that to what we see in the books. Throughout the series, there have only been 2 instances of animatronics possessed by multiple people.
Pig.
The first is the Stitch Wraith from the Fazbear Fright epilogues. The second is Rosie Porkchop from the Fazbear Fright Soul
love that
Together
picture.
Forever. And while the Stitch Wraith isn't able to speak until the second soul is gone, Rosie Porkchop speaks while still containing both spirits and refers to itself as ladies in waiting. It's using plurals showing the 2 spirits.
We're gonna come back to that point, right?
Yeah, don't worry, we're gonna come back to all of this.
Okay, great, because I have thoughts on that one.
The second point they bring up is everyone's favorite FNAF 3 classic, Happiest Day. This is the final minigame where we see the puppet giving
Final.
the birthday child
Oh, in
surrounded
FNAF 3,
by
yes.
their friends in animatronic masks. Once the puppet delivers the cake, the child stops crying, puts on their golden Freddy mask, and the children's spirits move on.
Well, except for Charlie, because she's still got to show
Yeah.
up in FNAF 6.
Yeah, because nothing can ever just be as it seems with this franchise. But
Nope.
there is one thing that I think we can both agree is very straightforward. There are only 6 kids at this party, 5 missing children and the puppet. If there were supposed to be 2 spirits inside Golden Freddy, why isn't there a 7th kid? Which ties in perfectly to point number 3, the glowing eyes at the end of FNAF 3.
This one's personal, so I'll take it. As a reminder, if you beat FNAF 3 without doing the Happiest Day minigame, you get the game's bad ending. This gives us a screen where our 4 main animatronics each have 1 glowing eye, symbolic of the fact that their spirits haven't been released yet. Seems pretty self-explanatory, right? But then look who we have in the back. Golden Freddy, with not just 1 glowing eye, but 2. This was always the backbone to the whole 2
I remember.
spirits debate. The idea that
I
unlike all the
remember.
other animatronics who each had 1 kid's spirit inside of them, Golden Freddy was different. He had 2, both the innocent crying child spirit and the vengeful spirit Cassidy, the 5th victim. It was a theory that was further supported by the books, specifically the Stitch Wraith stingers, where we see an animatronic possessed by 2 spirits, a nice wholesome kid named Jake and an evil angry spirit named Andrew. One who dies in a hospital setting like the crying child, and one who dies by a brutal murder from Afton.
What if it's 2 halves of Cassidy, or the crying
Dual
child?
Process challenges this by calling out the fact that if there were indeed 2 spirits in the body, why then do both eyes go out once you complete Happiest Day? Especially since we've believed that the Cassidy spirit lingers on to torture Afton in Ultimate Custom Night. Only 1 light should have gone out, to which I have one answer: retcon. But obviously that's a bit of a cheap explanation if we can avoid it.
Which brings us to Dual Process's last
yeah.
point. How can the crying child be the 5th missing kid when, very clearly, he's not missing? Like, he's literally right here in front of a large room of people. Well, they make the assumption that this was all part of William's scheme. After the bite of 83, William pulls his child out of the hospital, and while experimenting with harvesting remnants, has the bright idea to stuff his son into Golden Freddy. Whoops! Bad idea, Will. It doesn't work, and the spring locks kill him, which is why we see Golden Freddy twitching in Ultimate Custom Night in the same way William does during the FNAF 3 teaser. This mistake devastates him, and in a drunken stupor, he lashes out at Henry's daughter, Charlie, killing her last. This then aligns with what we see from the gravestone.
does make
pattern
sense.
too. To solve it, you have to light the gravestones marked by the 6 dead children in a specific order. Presumably,
I never got to play
people
this part.
Died. Chica, the first, she has seen everything, followed by Foxy, Freddy, Bonnie, then Golden Freddy, and finally the puppets. Later, when the police start to investigate the disappearances at the restaurant, William claims his child also went missing to throw them off the scent that he may be the killer.
Now, while I don't really love the logical jumps their explanation takes there, one thing I really do like about the crying child being the 5th missing victim, and therefore the only spirit inside Golden Freddy, is that it really does help clean up the...
Second.
numbers. For years, 5 was the magic number in FNAF when it came to dead kids. Then,
Yeah.
in FNAF 3, it evolved into 6 with the inclusion of the puppet. And yet FNAF 4 shows us what was presumably a 7th kid dying in the form of the crying child. And while Help Wanted does eventually give us 7 graves and a hidden out-of-bounds Easter egg, it always bugged me that there was never a gravestone for him in the FNAF 6 ending. I always just assumed that it was because he ended up being different. He wasn't a victim of Afton's, and thus he wasn't included in that final image. But if Crying Child is in fact the 5th kid, it helps explain why there was never an additional grave for him, because he was always there to begin with. He was the one hidden behind the grass.
They also don't mention this in their theory, but in FNAF 3, look at the spirit who gets Afton's springlet. They have tears streaming down their face, just like the crying child. We never see the other spirits' faces. We're specifically being shown that this one has tears, revealing that this isn't a separate spirit from the crying child. They are one in the same. Scott,
I was gonna say that there are
specifically
faces all
for
have
the
tears in
crying
them,
child.
but
To be fair,
that's true. We never
tears
saw the
are
other one's
everywhere
faces.
in the series.
That
though.
is true.
I mean, the puppet is shown crying literally all the time.
So, are we done? Did they solve FNAF? Can I retire now too?
No, you still have to solve Poppy.
No,
And
no.
Lorify.
Okay.
And Ban.
No!
No!
But secondly, well, this theory is really satisfying from a narrative standpoint. It helps to simplify a lot of the confusing elements that have built up over the years. There are a few pieces of evidence that they didn't mention that might poke a few holes in their theory.
Oh yeah?
So Tom, what's this sound?
It's a flatline.
Someone's
And
swearing.
when does the flatline happen?
Well, a flatline is typically shorthand to show that someone has died, usually in a hospital.
Exactly. During FNAF 4, we see things like IV bags, pills, and flowers surrounding
Yes.
the bed. All things that you would see in a hospital. Crying Child was in the hospital for his injuries, and then we hear a flatline right after Afton says that he's going to put his son back together. Afton
That's
leaves,
true.
represented by psychic friend Fredbear fading away, which then leaves Crying Child alone in the dark. He's lost in the darkness. He's dead. He's alone. Everything about this cutscene seems to be suggesting that he died in this hospital. Could you potentially make the
That's
argument
sad.
that William pulled his son off of life support in the hospital and brought him back to an underground bunker where he's going to do experiments on him until he's able to bring him back to life? And that's why we hear a flatline here? Sure, you
Maybe.
could make that argument, but it feels really overcomplicated just for the sake of your theory. And even
Yeah.
still, if he did do all of that, there's a room full of people that saw Afton's son get bit. That make it pretty darn hard for Afton to convince anyone that his son went missing as part of some random killer's murdering spree.
There's also that whole speaking in plurals thing I know you had thoughts on.
Yes, thank you. I brought up earlier the huge number of parallels between the two spirits inside the Stitch Wraith in the books and the two spirits that are potentially inside of Golden Freddy in the games. Now, say what you will about book-based evidence, but the epilogues at the end of these things tend to be very important for storytelling. I mean, we saw that explicitly with the reveal of the Mimic. So to focus on this
The Mimic!
Stitch Wraith comprised of two
Sorry,
spirits
I have to.
across 11 books, yeah, that feels pretty darn important. And in the Stingers, each spirit inside the Stitch Wraith speaks in the first person. So it would then make sense for one spirit inside of Golden Freddy to say, "It's me, singular. It's me, the Crying Child, your brother." But let's go a level deeper. In the Stingers, the Stitch Wraith is made up of a mix of parts. Andrew, the angry one, is established to not be able to see because his part forms the body. Jake, the nice one, can see because his spirit is trapped in the head part. As such, he reports what's happening in the world back to Andrew in the body. And what do we see happening in the
Yeah.
world? Well, it's a similar sort of dynamic. One spirit asks, "What do you see?" And the other one responds, "I can't see." It's a direct parallel. Even down to the Happiest Day minigame. There's a
It
bit
is.
in Stingers when Jake is given the chance to move on and pass into the afterlife, but he chooses to linger back in order to help Andrew. Eventually, one of them moves on while the other is kept to Earth, held back by Afton. Sound familiar? It should. It once again parallels a lot of what we're seeing happen with Golden Freddy in the
Yes!
games.
On top of that, dual process theory reminded me of this moment in FNAF 4's minigames, where the Crying Child is locked in the back room with a Golden Freddy costume. They pointed out the tufts of hair coming out of the suit, explaining this to be an employee who bled out. However, in one of our old videos, you made the valuable point that this head is just sitting too low in the torso. When adults
Yeah.
wear it, we see their heads fully out, even when they're sitting. This is
It's a
something
child.
that's explicitly shown to us in places like the graphic novels, which tells us then that the person in the suit here, it's gotta be a child.
Yes.
Again, we see this in the books. In Fazbear Frights, we have scenes where kids reach into the Golden Freddy suit and see black curly hair sitting inside. This is a dead kid that
Yep.
we know was put inside of Golden Freddy. Presumably, this should be the fifth missing child. This is why Crying Child's Fredbear plushie tells him, "Remember what you saw." He has literally seen the deaths of other kids.
Huh. You ever thought that maybe that's the answer?
What do you mean?
Well, is it possible that the story is actually way simpler than we, the FNAF community, have made it out to be? I mean,
Maybe.
look at the scene. Like, really look at the scene. It is pretty darn self-explanatory. A kid
Yeah.
is locked in the storage closet and literal tufts of hair are sticking out of the suit. I remember
Yeah.
when I first saw this scene, I overthought this thing to death, assuming that it had to be more than just hair sticking out of the suit. Maybe they were wires or tufts of suit hair or something like that, because this was 1983, and by all accounts, it was the first location.
That's what I thought at first.
Fredbear's Family Diner.
I thought it could be
beginning
wires
of
or
the
tufts of
timeline.
hair,
The
yeah.
missing children's incident didn't happen here. It was at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Clearly, these brown pixels had to represent something else. But in retrospect, the scene is pretty explicit. There's a kid
Yeah.
dead in the suit. Done. Cut and dry. Remember what you saw? You saw a dead kid. We, as theorists, are so often desperate to search for narrative satisfaction. We bend
Yeah.
over backwards to try and justify timelines where Afton is killing kids
That's
because
the
of
thing.
Elizabeth's death, or because he's trying to put his son back together and he wants to run experiments.
Some stuff
to
is
learn
right in
his
front of
son
you,
from
but you
other kids.
overanalyze it
What
so
if he's
much.
just a weird, sick
Myself Myself included.
Started killing kids one day. No overcomplicated backstory required. We didn't get to talk about this before leaving the channel, but in Help Wanted 2, if you light the final gravestones in a very specific order, you unlock a huge lore clue in the form of the Bonnie mask. This is the moment that basically confirms that we're playing the game as Bonnie Bro. But the order of the gravestones, it feels very intentional. They explicitly give us an order of events. Chica first, then Foxy, Freddy, Bonnie, Golden Freddy fifth, Puppet last. It was really confusing because Charlie dying last didn't make any sort of sense. What about this?
A wound first inflicted on me.
And yet this gravestone evidence is what the games are telling us. It's also kind of what we're seeing in FNAF 4. If that tuft of hair is to be believed, and really, why wouldn't we believe it? That gravestone timeline could probably be right. Afton was just killing kids because he could. He was a deranged serial killer.
Yep.
Man, retirement really has taken a toll on you. But I also think I see where you're going with this. Crying Child witnesses the dead kids in the suits and then gets bit by Fredbear on the day of his party. Afton would be devastated by this, promising to put his son back together. He'd be furious.
Even with
that
insanity, he is
because it was his engineering that did this to his boy. Then, one night, an opportunity presented itself. Charlie was locked outside by some bullies, and so Afton, in a fit of rage, killed Charlie. Unlike all the other killings
That's
that
still
were
fucked up.
meditated, this
That is
was a
very
crime
fucked up.
of passion, and so it broke from all of his usual methods. And that allows this new order of deaths that Steel Wool has given us to make way more sense. Chica was always the first, but not just of the MCI, of all the deaths. That's why Henry made Security Puppet in the first place. Because there
Is
were a
Security
bunch
Puppet,
of
yeah.
kids disappearing from the pizzeria, and Henry wanted to protect his daughter.
Which brings us back to the beginning.
Was Security Puppet always a thing before Visit Sim? Or is that just a opinion? But I don't
Where
know.
did we
Never mind.
land with the whole dual process theory? Did they solve FNAF? Is Cassidy the crying child?
I think the answer is yes, but also no. There are two sides to this coin, right? Is Crying Child the
Irrelevant.
missing kid that we've called Cassidy for all these years?
The
I'm
Security
just
Puppet thing.
not
Know what they're
It
saying.
would simplify a lot, especially the FNAF 3 minigames where there's only 5 kids. But then we see a kid already dead inside the Golden Freddy suit before Crying Child even dies. And then there's the dozens of people that watch him die and flatline at the end of FNAF 4, which would make it hard for him to be considered missing, let alone considered one of the
As it can be. An episode
sure they have.
just launched today here on